Use these just as, there we go. Okay, nice to see everyone. Today was the first morning walking down the street where people actually looked happy after the Labor Day long weekend. So I'm hoping that everyone is feeling the same right now, maybe because we have another weekend upon us. I'm excited to talk about NuMarket, especially to so many people doing great things in Maine. I'm down in Boston normally, so a New Englander, and that's where NuMarket got its start, and where we have most of our focus, where we're trying to create some really vibrant and well-funded main streets. So kind of the same goal that I think everyone here has. And we're doing it through a new type of funding mechanism that really engages people within the community, the customers of businesses, the people who are there on a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis. So I'm going to go through a little bit of the landscape of crowdfunding right now. I'm going to talk a little bit about how NuMarket is different, as well as some other options for small businesses that you might be working with. Maybe you're a customer of the small business, maybe you have one yourself, but please, I would love to answer as many questions as possible. I'll give a couple of examples within Maine. And if you have any questions related to those, I would love to chat offline as well. First, I want to just show this is us or part of our small team. We are real people who care about real people within community businesses. And the reason why I share this is I think for some reason over the last decade, maybe 2 decades, there has been somewhat of a movement away from the idea of community banks and community support where you have to go in and talk to a human being. And for some reason, I think the world has moved to, we don't want to talk to real people when it comes to our finances. And I don't agree with that. And I think a lot of people on Main Street don't actually agree with that either. They want to have real people within their community supporting them. And that's the approach that we take to everything that we do. This on the right was, I think, everyone on Tuesday morning, but also a lot of small business owners when they think about the equation for funding their business. It is really not easy right now. It is certainly not fun. And in a lot of ways, for a lot of business owners, it kind of doesn't make sense. Small business owners are doing things that generate real revenue on the ground every single day. And there are a lot of different funding mechanisms out there that are being placed on them that don't reflect that reality of daily costs, daily revenues, the things that are happening for real business, whether it be food, whether it be retail, anything that's in your community. And interest rates being where they are right now, whether it's for your home mortgage or for a small business loan, it's really not fun. And it's getting more difficult by the day right now. But hopefully we're going to provide some optimistic solutions. So I want to talk about the landscape for crowdfunding right now as it stands. You'll see hopefully some familiar logos in here, some platforms that you might have used either for business or for project or for a really strong need. Kickstarter is kind of the original crowdfunding platform that helps creators and people with projects to fund those projects. It was designed for someone who has an idea or a project that they want to get off the ground. It is a rewards-based platform, meaning you fund or give money to that project. In exchange, you're going to get something like a t-shirt or a bumper sticker. Maybe they'll create something special for you. And it's been a really incredible way of getting more people into the fold when it comes to funding in general. GoFundMe is a donation-based platform. It does an incredible job of helping, whether it be businesses or individuals, to fund things in times of need. We've seen a lot of our customers who have used GoFundMe campaigns for things like the medical bills of their employees when something happens that's unexpected. And it is purely donation-based. Someone who is funding is going to donate, and that money is going towards that cause. WeFunder is a little bit of a different one. WeFunder is an equity crowdfunding platform. So for businesses that want to give up a percentage of their ownership WeFunder is a really good option. We find this tends to work better for tech companies, companies that have exit opportunities. They want to sell their business at a higher valuation than what their current revenues are. It's not ideal for small businesses who are generating day-to-day revenues and probably want to hand down the business to another generation. And I'm going to talk more about that in terms of community capital and keeping capital in the community. Honeycomb Credit is a relatively newer one as well. They are a revenue-based crowdfunding platform. So businesses, small businesses can use them to raise capital from someone, let's say across the country, and they're going to return that at an interest rate, usually around 12 or 14% out of their revenue. So it's sort of like a loan, not quite, but a crowdsourced revenue-based loan. And then there's us, and we operate in a what we call a credit-based platform, or a credit-based platform. And I'll talk more about kind of how our model works and what works best for each different business. So NuMarket, the way that we work is anyone within the community or outside of the community, but we really focus on people who are, within Maine, within that specific neighborhood, or maybe someone who's new to the community as well. They can fund the businesses that they love within their community and get more back in return, 20% more actually in our case, as credits to use towards the business over time. If you own a bakery and you're raising money, I could put in, let's say, $100. I would get back $120 worth of coffee and croissants and baked goods and anything that you're selling. So it's sort of like taking people within your community, turning them into your funders, and then back into your best customers. We think it's a really great way of keeping money within the community. So as you're talking with or thinking about how to help small businesses in your community to grow and to thrive, I want to go through the different options and what works best for everyone. I mentioned a little bit about the equity-based crowdfunding. That is more for technology businesses, businesses that are looking for a longer term, let's say, sale or exit opportunity. Donations work really well for immediate need. Let's say there was a catastrophe, someone on your team is sick, something where the goodness of the community can really come out, but for something specific, not necessarily business related. Rewards-based crowdfunding is a little bit of a tricky one. So one of the reasons why we designed our business the way that we did is that rewards can be very difficult to deliver on. So let's take the bakery as an example again. If you're a bakery and you're up at 5 a.m., you're a bakery owner, and you're up at 5 a.m. every day, and you're folding croissant dough and putting the butter on and doing that 1,000 times, that's what you need to be focusing on. And then maybe you've got 25 minutes to get your kid dressed and out the door to school and all of the things that are on your plate every single day. What you probably don't have time for is to box up t-shirts, write down addresses of hundreds of people, send those out the door, maybe plan a birthday party for the really big contributors. A lot of businesses don't have that time or the wherewithal to do it. Some do though. Some really want to send rewards in return for funding, especially businesses that might have, let's say, a year before their business is going to actually open because they have such a long build out. Revenue-based crowdfunding, I think this works well for businesses that know that they're going to have some pretty significant cash flow for a long time. So if you can afford to pay back a 14% interest rate out of your business and out of your cash flow, I think it works well. We actually recommend some of the revenue-based crowdfunding platforms often to folks who come to us who might not fit our model. And then there's us, NuMarket Credits. And we think we're a really good fit and have had a lot of good examples over the last 3 years since we got started. We're a really good fit for community-based businesses that really want to just get their product onto people's plates, onto people's shelves, into their homes. And they want their funders to be the people who walk through their doors every day. That is one key. One of my favorite things is after credits go out for the first time, and we'll get calls or texts or emails from our customers, and they'll say, we have all of these people who just walked in our door, some of which we knew, some of which we'd never met, holding their NuMarket credits. They're not physical, by the way, it's a digital code, and I can talk more about that, but holding them up in the air saying, I've got these credits, or pointing at the sign and saying, I did that. One slightly unfortunate story that I got recently was one of our customers called me and they said, we have somebody parked in the fire lane outside of the restaurant right now, and they won't move the car. And they came into the restaurant, and our staff said, sir, you can't park there. And they said, no, 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 I'm an investor in the business. Don't worry about it. And they were a NuMarket contributor, had put in, I think, $200, something like that. So there's an emotional piece to this that I think is really important ahead of the promotional piece. You get that 20% more on credits, but you're really getting a sense that you were part of this. You're part of this community growth. That's one of the things that I want to really drill down on as well, which is that you're turning your community into funders, which helps you to grow capital within the community. So when somebody contributes to a NuMarket campaign, they're getting more value back. The business feels like they're getting more value than what they put out, and money is staying within the community and growing within it as well. It is a fantastic way to have true community growth, where you don't have someone, sitting across the world or across the country who's reaping the financial reward. It's really everyone who's in that neighborhood, in that city, in that state. A couple of other important things here: that there's no complicated filings. There is a really big barrier to entry for small businesses right now. Back to that kind of frown face image a few slides ago. There's a really, really difficult road for small businesses to file for. Everything from, government-backed loans are difficult to get through, to trying to register with the SEC for some different types of crowdfunding. It's just really hard. And, I know some of my friends and customers who are incredible chefs and tailors and dressmakers and things like that. Because they don't know how to fill out SEC filings doesn't mean that they're not a great business owner. And we're trying to give opportunity to those people without having to go through so many hoops that no one ever taught them to do. When I was in school, no one said, hey, here's how to fill out your SEC filings, or your SBA loans. So I want to talk or show a few examples in the real world, and specifically in Maine, of how NuMarket works. And then I'd love to take as many questions as everyone has. So here is a business that is now near and dear to my heart. It's called Sissel and Daughters. If anyone's familiar with the cheese shop in Portland, it is the same owners as the cheese shop in Portland. These are the Sissels and Daughters. So a true family business. And they're actually, I took the screenshot last night. So they do have 5 days left in their campaign. They raised over $80,000 to open up Sissel and Daughters, which is a wine, cheese, prepared food shop for the neighborhood. If you have a long day at work and you want to pick up some good food for your family and come home with it, it's a great place to be. They reached out to us to let us know that they wanted to announce this new location, and that they needed the funding to get all the new equipment that they're going to need: refrigerators, cheese slicers, everything that you could possibly need to open a restaurant. They're hoping to fund. And you can see in a little bit of detail here some of the milestones they've already crossed within the campaign: a new meat slicer and espresso program. Espresso machines are incredibly expensive, something you find out through this business. They're going to build out their new bar. They need inventory. Cheese is expensive, so is meat. You have to keep it on the shelves at all times. So really great business that also is getting a lot of attention within the community. This is from in Press Herald, and a really great, I thought, article about what Will and Mary from Siskel and Daughters are doing, talking a little bit about how NuMarket is helping them, getting customers through the door before the door is even open, which I feel really proud to be able to work on that every day. The Place Bakery is another example. They're in Camden, Maine. Another fantastic community business, a customer base that is so broad in terms of who comes in the doors. People who are there every single day getting their croissants and their bread, people who are passing through Camden during tourist season. It is a mix of everything. Why I loved this campaign so much is it's a perfect example of the barriers that face small businesses and how easy it can be to cross them with a crowdfunding model. So the owners of the place, they sell out every single day. They don't have the capacity to fill as many orders as they would like to because they didn't have a big enough refrigerator. Things that you just think, I mean, that feels so simple, buy a new refrigerator, but getting the $15,000 you need to get a big walk-in fridge to keep your dough, to keep your butter, those types of things, it's not easy for a small business owner. When this campaign ended, we always have a call to talk about how things went. And the owner, Chelsea, said, I don't think you realize how much of a difference this makes in our business that we can now buy this refrigerator, but also for my family. And that was something that really hit me, where getting this fridge allowed them to increase their production in a way where they could also spend more time with their kids and with their family, because they could make things in advance, put them in the fridge, go home for the day, and then be ready for the next day. And that stuff, I mean, it touches my heart, but I think it's also such a reality for Main Street businesses. You're balancing so much all the time. Here's a quick testimonial of another one of my favorite businesses. This is actually in Somerville, Mass. It is Mama's Grocery and Wine. It's a great neighborhood grocery. I think the mix of both cash flow and people flow is so important. So not only do you have cash in the bank, but you also have people who are coming in holding their credits and that they want to use them, and they want to use them often. One small note about how our model works is we send the credits out in monthly installments over 6 months. So everyone who gets their credits get this kind of hit of happiness every month saying, hey, you've got $20 more in credits to use. Go into Mama's, go into The Place, go into Siskel and Daughters and say hi to the team. And so you have more people coming in to Mama's instead of going to Walmart because they're holding these credits and they have an emotional ownership as well. In terms of getting started with us, if you are considering talking to friends or people within your community, we are extremely real and we are very personal and hands-on in how we approach the campaigns. One of the things that I think we do best is in providing the resources, the templates, the examples, all of the different things that you would need to run a successful campaign. And we do it personally and in real time. So every single business that comes on the platform first talks with me. We talk through where their business is, whether they're the right fit, what they're looking for in the future. We try to send them as many resources outside of NuMarket as we can to help them. Part of that is to often send folks your way, other people who are supporting them, who are helping them to get integrated with the community. And then we move into a very personal approach of resources for the campaign. We help them in designing Instagram posts and giving them email copy to go out to their community. We'll help them to design their newsletters. It's really a great exercise in marketing for the business as much as it is the campaign itself. And we try to layer on as much extra goodness as we can with the campaign. Every step of the campaign, you're working with myself and someone else on my team who helps with campaign marketing, campaign success, so that it's not just you set it and forget it for the campaign. You're really getting this weekly, oftentimes daily support over text, over email, whatever, carrier pigeon, whatever the preferred method of communication is for the business owner. And one of the things that I know from my experience in owning small business and a lot of experience working with folks through NuMarket, every single small business owner is entirely different than the next. We don't take a top-down approach of, small business owner is category A or segment A. We know that everyone has different challenges, goals, and dreams, and we're trying to be as manual as we can in helping them with those needs. And part of that, as I mentioned before, is to work with people like everyone on this Zoom right now to introduce and provide more resource to help them grow, to make sure that they have what they need to be a strong community business. With that, I'll say thank you for the opportunity to talk today. Tried my best to not put as many dollar signs and financial numbers out there, but I'm happy to talk about as many of the details with NuMarket as you'd like, or some of the higher level things, but would love to take any questions that anyone has.
Ross, thanks so much. And I'm excited about my Sissel and Sisters credits once they get going and later this month, I think. What questions are there? Feel free to just take yourself off mute or put a question in the chat.
I got one, Ross. So how are you reaching out? What is your approach to getting into diverse or underserved communities? Is that something that that is part of your business plan, or is there a certain attraction to this model? Because I really feel like it's such a good community-based approach that there's a lot of just my travels around Maine, there's a lot of places that are like, not Portland or Camden that really could use this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Tuck. We do it through representation. So from the beginning, we placed an emphasis on those communities. And what we found is that if we can get one campaign in that community live and on the platform, other business owners will find representation from that business or from that community, and then reach out to us. And we grow from there, sort of taking a swell out approach. Not only that, the funders who are on the platform from that campaign and underserved community are much more likely to then contribute to another one within that community. And so we try to show and not tell in that sense. Here is a real business. Here's one that's thriving, succeeding in an underserved community. And here are the people who want to continue to be part of that. I see a question in here. Could you give us an idea of the cost of the program? And is it a percentage or flat-based fee? Great question. Yep, it's a percentage of the funds that are raised. So we don't take any upfront or subscription fees. It is simply we take 9% of the funds that are raised. So if you raise $100,000, we're going to wire you $91,000 at the end of the campaign. In addition to that, our model covers the credit card processing fees. So when someone comes in with credits to use at the business, the 3% they would normally get charged, they don't get charged. So we net out closer overall to a 6%-ish fee. And then would Main Street programs provide businesses with your information and rely on businesses to contact you directly? You can go one of two ways. I take every single introduction over email and that comes through our platform. So if you do want to make an email introduction or a text introduction, I will absolutely pick up the ball from there. But we also make it really easy for businesses to sign up and find time with us. Everything on our website is incredibly simple. You'll see a button that says, get more info, and it's going to take you through a couple of basic questions and then directly to my calendar. And I spend a lot of time on the phone talking with businesses and understanding their challenges.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Excellent. So I actually have two questions. And it's going to be probably more geared around food service, restaurants, that industry. Have you encountered or had to counsel on an abundance of credits coming in? So if you have 100 contributors and all of them come in that month to use their credits, is there an impact on the restaurant owner, the financial piece of that? Of because when you look at it, you're essentially kind of giving out free food, even though it's already been like prepaid for. You know, kind of if you had sold an abundance of gift cards and everybody came in at the same time.
Yeah, Denise, it's a great question. So one of the beauties of our model is that distributed credit system where we send them out in 6 monthly installments. So it prevents what you're talking about, almost like a bank run on the credits where everyone comes in at once. And we find over the last 3 years of tracking all of this that it's really wide credit usage, with one very interesting exception for businesses that have some type of specialty grocer or gift shop type of a approach to their business. Around the holidays, a lot of credits come in and get used. People come in and they say, oh, I haven't spent my last 3 months of credits. Let me go buy everything for everyone for the holidays. So anytime we have one of those businesses, we give them a very big warning ahead of time. One interesting strategy that we found that's worked really well for food service businesses, to your question, is to have a NuMarket friends and family night where you put a couple of specials on the blackboard, or you open up your doors a couple of days early before the new restaurant is going to open, and allow people to come in and use a bunch of their credits and spend above them. And we find that that works really well in helping to manage credit usage. But the other thing I'll say is that we have, for food service businesses, we found that people spend 1.5x above their credits. So it's actually a really nice revenue driver as well during some slower times where, let's say you have $10 in credits, it's likely you're going to come into the restaurant and spend $15, which can really help. We get a lot of attention from alcohol focused businesses around this time of year because they're preparing for January and February, where you might not be going into that wine shop or bottle shop because of dry January. But when you're holding credits and you get that notification in January, you're probably more likely to go in, say hi, pick something up. So we find an ebb and flow of credit usage in that way.
And those credit usage for restaurants specifically can also be used for liquor, alcohol, beer, wine. There's no. Yeah.
Yes, they can, because it's not a variable discount. Most liquor commissions are okay with gift cards, and it operates like a gift card in that sense. Yeah.
I know that there's some laws in there, so I just wanted to make sure. But also, you know, the liquor, beer, and wine, that's restaurant moneymakers. I mean, that's their highest, you know, profit margin. And if they're giving that out in free credits, essentially, even though it's been already paid for, but it's free, yeah.
Definitely.
So I won't dive down in there. But the other question is, have you encountered any of those businesses that used your service that have closed, and what was that exit plan? What did that exit plan look like?
Yeah, we have a very small amount. We've had 2 businesses in 3 years that have closed since they run their campaigns. And it's interesting. I obviously had some anxiety around that. You know, you want to show that the campaigns lead to some serious longevity for the businesses. The example that I think of is it was a vegan restaurant in Massachusetts called Littleburg. They were open for about 1.5 years, or 2 years, excuse me. And the owner decided that signing on a new lease just wasn't going to work. They didn't want to have to go through everything again. And so I think about 2 months in advance of closing, they sent a very heartfelt letter to all of the NuMarket contributors and said, thank you for helping us do this special thing for 2 years. We've decided not to continue. We have 2 more months of being open. Please come in and use your credits if you haven't. And if after the business closes, you still have credits that you want to use, the chef and owner was going to be doing some catering and things like that, just reach out. And so it becomes almost like an old school, hey, you did a good thing for us. We still want to help you out. I'm not naive in that that's not going to happen every time. And we will have cases in which credits won't be able to be used. We're really upfront with everyone as a funder that you can use your credits when the business is open. Please do go use your credits because small businesses can be a little bit volatile.
Yeah, and the reason that question comes up for my area specifically is because we're extremely small. So, this neighbor knows that neighbor and that neighbor, and if you are if you're part of the community and everybody knows you, and then you go in and open a business, and then a year and a half later you close, and then, I mean, that could wreak havoc really in a small area.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. And we're trying to prevent against that by having some really great funding sources where instead of having to pay, 15%, or right now it's more like 25% for a lot of small businesses, an interest rate every month, your payback is really on people coming in and shopping with you.
There's some other questions in the chat. One, Camille's wondering, since her businesses are weak in marketing, if that coaching and kind of campaign support is an additional cost.
No, everything is part of it. We are, it's, I think, one of our biggest values. We don't talk about it so much publicly, but a lot of businesses will say, we got this amazing funding, but almost more importantly, now we have a really strong email newsletter. We have a much better cadence on social media. We know how to talk to our customers a little bit better at the point of sale system. So everything that we do is baked into that percentage that we take. And I think I feel confident saying we go above and beyond in the coaching, the marketing, and the campaign support, to the point where
That's
people
great.
will send us like, hey, can you look at this logo for a friend's business? They're thinking about, it's fun.
That's wonderful. And then we've got some, Main Street directors here that are asking, is there a one-pager that might be able to be printed off the website, or you could send, I'd be happy to send it up in follow-up notes if you have kind of something that they could print out, because that's sometimes the best way to deliver information.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can do that.
Awesome. And then have you ever worked with the Main Street program to piggyback the style of community crowdfunding? As a match for like a scale up to a grant that could help encourage crowdfunding to match a grant for a particular project.
Yeah, Sylvia, I think you might. And Sylvia, I think this might have been an email that went back and forth with us a couple of months ago. The answer is not exactly, but sort of. Not in a programmatic form, but we have a matching function on the campaign pages.
Right.
Yeah, where if you're a Main Street organization or you're a corporation, could be anyone, we can match contributions up to a certain amount in real time or after the campaign.
So not for a separate nonprofit specifically going after a grant, but matching through a campaign that a business is doing. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Great. And then EJ is wondering if that campaign length is always unique to the business, or if there's something standard. And what is your makeup of businesses that are startup versus existing? And that was echoed actually by Mia as well.
Yeah, great question, EJ. Everything is standardized across our business. So all campaigns last for 1 month with the option to extend for a couple of weeks. But everything happens in monthly increments. The campaigns are 1 month. The credits start to go out 1 month after the campaign ends. And then we send credits in monthly installments. And so that does present a little bit of trickiness when it comes to brand new business versus established business. What we say is we want to make sure that you have something that your customers can buy with their credits 2 months after the campaign starts. So we won't work with a business that comes to us right now and says, hey, I have this idea. I'm thinking about starting this business. We won't launch a NuMarket campaign, but we will help them in the coaching and resource sharing and getting them to a point where they can launch a campaign. And we have now, 3 years later, plenty of businesses who came and said, hey, Ross, I'm thinking about starting this thing. And then 3 years later, we launched a NuMarket campaign.
That's great. Any other questions? I think that's all I see in the chat. Excellent. Okay, well, Ross, thank you so much for joining us. We're really thrilled to have gotten connected with Ross and NuMarket, and so much so that Main Street America is actually going to be coming in with Ross for our November Main Downtown conference, and they're going to be doing a live stream as part of a kind of presentation session, but also as part of Main Street America's podcast program. So if you want to talk more with Ross, he will be there in November. And Ross, are you okay with sharing your slides, sending them a copy of them to me so I can attach them?
Sure. Yeah, I'll send the slides, a one-pager, and I just dropped my contact info in here as well.
Excellent. Okay, great. And I'm actually going to stop the recording so that we can kind of parcel out the recordings before Tuck takes away with Land Bank. But Ross, thanks again.
Thank you, Sylvie. Thank you, everyone.